Common variations. It is important when comparing things that we use the right information, otherwise we'll end up with the wrong answer. Just like in the previous video, we need to follow these steps. Number 1, calculate the interest rate per period. Number 2, calculate the growth factor, which is our capital R. Calculate N, which is the number of periods. We saw this example in the previous video, so we're just going to quickly recap it. We worked out our lowercase r is going to be 0.5% per month. Our N is 24 months. Our capital R was 1.05, and then when we put it into the formula, we got a total value of $56.36 or interest of $6.36. So we're going to revisit example 1 again. This time it's going to be $50 for 24 months rather than 2 years. But as we know, that's the exact same time frame. But we're going to see how the calculations differ slightly. So the R is exactly the same as before, 0.5% per month. But the N is already in months, so it doesn't need converting. When we look at a problem like this, what we need to do is make sure that all these three areas have the same common time unit. Once that is the same, we can proceed as we did just before. So we're going to look at this example just one more time. It's still going to be $50. We're investing it for 2 years, just like we did originally, but this time we've changed the interest rate into a rate per month. So that means it doesn't need to be converted because it's already in the time unit that we require. The N needs to be converted back to months. And then once we've got it all in the same common time unit, we can proceed as we did before and get the exact same answer. Here are some tips to get these questions right. Number 1, R and N need to be in the same time unit. You'll know which time unit to convert to by the terms compounding, and whatever's in that blank, you need to convert everything into that unit. There are 4 possibilities. 1, no conversion is required for R or N, just like we saw in the previous video. 2, R will need to be converted but N will not, just like we saw previously, and the vice versa, where N will need to be converted but R will not. There is a 4th possibility that both R and N will both need to be converted. In this example, I'm going to show you how to create a formula from this information. $300 is invested for N quarters at 8% compounding quarterly. The first thing I'm going to do is change the interest rate per annum to interest rate per quarter. Then I'm going to substitute into my capital R formula to give me an answer of 1.02. And then I'm going to substitute into the compound interest formula. So I end up with Vn is equal to 300, which is our principal. I'm going to multiply by our capital R, and you'll notice that I've left N as an unknown, and I can use different values of N to substitute in. So to use this formula, I'm going to look at these 2 examples. So after 8 quarters, I would need to substitute N is equal to 8. Now when I substitute that into the formula like so, I get an answer of $351.50. Now if I want it after 8 years, I can't just simply substitute in 8 because the formula is calibrated for quarters. I need to change 8 years into 32 quarters. And then I can substitute in, like I did with the previous one, and I get $565.36. We're going to revisit example 2, but with a subtle difference. Rather than N quarters, it's going to be N years, but you'll notice it's still compounded in quarterly, so that's how we proceed. So we work out our R ends up being 2% per quarter, our capital R 1.02, just like before. If we're to substitute into a formula, as is, we end up with 300 times 1.02 to the power of n. Now this formula is not quite right. And the reason is, if I was to put in 1 year, it would give us the answer for 1 quarter. So what we need to do is have this 4 in front of the n. And the reason why that works is because the n represent years, but the formula is set up for quarters. If we give it 1 year, it will convert in that spot to quarters. Now to show that it actually works. 8 quarters is 2 years, so to work out the n, we need to convert it back to years. When we substitute into this formula, we end up with 300 times 1.02 to the power of 8, which is what we had before. So we end up with the same answer. After 8 years, we don't need to do the conversion this time. This time we can substitute straight in, and we end up with 32 quarters, which gives us $565.36. Here are some tips for getting the formulas correct. Number 1, calculate lowercase r before uppercase r. R and n should be in the same time units. If r and n can't be in the same time units, then adjust the number that is put in front of the n power in the formula. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. Please leave a review and a comment. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a mathematics teacher with a passion for financial literacy. Please read the disclaimer.